Hello and welcome, I'm Tafara Gadamu. My guest today, the CEO of Tourism Ethiopia, says the country is now open for tourists. Actually, it has started receiving some. What exactly has been done to get there and what is missing? Seleshi, everyone, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Have we opened our gates for tourists?
We say we are partially opened. Our tourist destinations like museums, if you go to Addis Ababa Museum, Unity Park, now it's open. We have tried to provide trainings in Harar, in Aksum, in Addis as well. So all these touristic attraction sites are open. So, opening the destination are not enough. And we also work on, connecting transports. Now the Ethiopian Airlines has also resumed flights to several countries. So I say it's partially opened.
So what is missing, you think? When you say partially, there is something that's not open as yet, right?
Yeah.
What is it that you're trying to...
from the tourism perspective, the tourism business is very sensitive, especially it's very time sensitive. So this quarantine thing, people don't want to hear 7 hours quarantine, let alone 7 days. So until the quarantine is removed, I suggest it's a partial opening, not a full opening for tourism.
But there are protocols in place that have been adopted by the World Travel and Tourism Council, right? That you have also... you're planning to adopt, or you have already...
We did.
You've already adopted that. So are those protocols adhered here?
Yeah. What we did was we have already adapted and customized from the WTTC protocol. The protocol includes, 4 major areas: hotel business, tour operation business, what visitors has to do at a specific touristic place, destination level. And again, the 4th is about MICE, where people having a meeting in a conference venue, having cocktails and the like. So thinking of these 4 specific areas, we have already customized and prepared a protocol. This protocol has been approved by the Tourism Board and the Tourism Policy and Management. Finally, we have been able to give training for all regions.
All regions?
All regions, Culture and Tourism Bureau heads. Now we have also started at specific destination level training, and then we so far had trainings at Harar. That was the very first and big training we had, including all the national tourism association, industry association like hotel associations, tour operator associations and board members, tourist guide associations. So all these were in Harar, understanding what the protocol is all about. And again, we go beyond that. We were in Aksum, so we have given this training as well. And at the same time, we have given training in Addis Ababa. So now we will keep providing this training in Arba Minch, Lalibela, and Bali. So the protocol is in good place. It has been approved, and training is going on. But the WTTC still asks us, to give us a safe travel stamp. They require no quarantine. That's a mandatory criteria.
That's one.
That we should fit in. That's a mandatory criteria. We have been fit in all, but the quarantine is the most important thing we are left with.
So when you say training, training is one thing, but implementing what these people have been trained in is a totally different thing, right? Do you follow up on that?
Yeah. We tried to follow up, and again, we have also shown some of the practical things that has to be done at a destination level regularly. One of these things would be, disinfecting touristic sites and the cleaning and regular hygiene, maintaining procedures. Also, the training that we have given at this regional bureau head level and at specific sites are kind of training of trainers. It's a TOT, so they are also supposed to take this kind of trainings to each warada and zone level where most of the touristic, precious heritage resources are available.
It's interesting because, quite often you don't, all this main tourist destination particularly, don't have those, for example, the elementary washrooms and all that stuff. Probably this is a means to developing those, don't you think?
Yeah.
Because they were pretty much lacking in washrooms and all.
Think of the key touristic places we have as a nation. One of these places is Lalibela.
Below side.
There is no a single washroom for tourists. They should go back to their hotel. So I think COVID given us an opportunity to think of and establish this kind of facilities like washrooms, hygiene centers, dustbins, resting places. So this is one of the opportunity, and I'm sure regions and with the support of from the national government, from the ministry and institution, we can all try to work hard and establish these facilities.
So you have plenty of stakeholders, right? Tour operators, hoteliers, and all, including the regional offices, tourism and culture offices. Have they all joined? Have you all joined hands to get this going?
Yeah. It starts, when we craft the recovery strategy. We've been working together. At the same time, when we develop the protocol, the tour operators were able to prepare what specific protocols has to be customized from the WTTC standard, and they did it by themselves. So that hotels do the same job. What has to be done at a restaurant, when the food and beverages are prepared in a kitchen, and then at the same time, what has to be done at a reception where welcoming guests at the first place. So all this has been, designed and developed with the collaboration from the tour operators, hotels, at the same time from event organizers. They did a great job on putting specific protocol ideas at a meeting place. So what we did was, as Tourism Ethiopia, we mainly focus on what has to be done at a destination, mainly on the guided tour part. So we are working together, and we are also organizing trainings together.
The main tourism season is coming up, right?
Yeah, the peak season is coming up forward. At the same time, right now, at this time, there are more than 8 group of tourists visiting the country.
8 group of tourists, meaning?
I don't know how many exactly in number, but 8 different separate groups.
Separate groups are coming. It's just a good beginning.
They are in Tigray. Some of them are now in Lalibela, and some of them are in the south part of Ethiopia. So they have started visiting Ethiopia anyhow.
Yeah. So, travel companies plan travels well ahead in time. Would that be possible for them to plan to fly to Ethiopia before the key main tourism season is over?
That's very true. The tourism business, the booking started a year or 2 before. I think this time tourists are coming, and what happened is we never imagine COVID takes this much long. So the people must have booked some months back, maybe 4 or 5 months back, in case, the tourism will be open in Ethiopia. And we were thinking and also advocating in the media that Ethiopia is going to open its door from October. So with this thinking, there must be some people already on board visiting the country. And I think also the trend of booking is also a bit changed. People were, at home for long hours, long period of time, couple of months. Now, any country that's open and they feel safe, they must travel.
So what are you doing on your part to be able to tell the world that Ethiopia has opened up? Ethiopia is going to resume, tourist operations. It actually has. How do you communicate with the outside world? Because that's one of the jobs that you do at Ethiopian Tourism Organization. Is that correct? Or Tourism Ethiopia?
What we are doing right now is, we had the ambassadors in September, all Ethiopian ambassadors.
They came here for their annual retreat and conversations here.
So during the annual retreat, we were able to be on board and explain that we are going to open Ethiopian tourism from October. And again, we have also discussions with the whole tour operators. They are doing the sailing anyhow. So we were able to have this discussion and give some orientations. We will start tourism in October, and we are also using this digital media. So these are some of the ways we get into the international market and deliver the information.
Do you think that you have succeeded in delivering the information? Because it's not only you who's doing this, because I think there are very many other countries who have suffered as a result of COVID-19. lost their tourism revenues and all that stuff. I guess they are doing the same thing that you're doing. So it's in a way, it's a competition, right? So how well has your information traveled as far as attracting those tourists is concerned?
Yeah, I think we traveled in a fair way. We have also used Zoom meetings. These Zoom meetings include, the whole global tourism leaders, the whole global travel medias. So in these kind of meetings, we were able to show the stand of Ethiopia and where we are now to open tourism during COVID, not post-COVID. So we were able to deliver this information by all means. And at the same time, we have been requested by different outbound tour operators and foreign companies. So we were quickly delivering this kind of information to them who have a concern and who just want to know when Ethiopia is exactly open for tourism. So we tried our best, and I'm sure we are fairly enough to deliver this kind of information.
So do you have the other stakeholders, like the Ministry of Health, in this case a very important actor, and others too, including immigration? Are they all aboard?
Yeah, we are working, we have a big platform working with the Immigration Authority, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Investment Commission, and the private sectors as well. So with this forum that we had a meeting every month, we are always sharing information and they are all on board. With the Ministry of Health, we are also communicating, but much they are communicating with the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. But we are again, pushing forward the Ethiopian Public Health Institute to give examination and COVID tests for people who are already in Ethiopia, visiting the destinations. So when they go back home, again, they have to go with a certificate, with a negative certificate of COVID test. So we are working with the EPHI, and I'm sure more laboratories are coming to do this kind of jobs.
So it's been how long has it been since you became the CEO of Tourism Ethiopia?
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
So Tourism Ethiopia is primarily interested, A, in promoting Ethiopia, B, also in developing destinations, right? Have you succeeded in developing destinations? Because in your new plan, in the next, how many years, 10 years, the tourism master plans, you intend to develop, 50-something new destinations?
Yeah.
Isn't that ambitious?
Yeah, it seems. But the 59 destinations development are not all by the Tourism Ethiopia alone.
But definitely you are going to play a significant role.
Yeah, we are going to play a significant role, and we are going to be a facilitator. So regions, private sector are going to do the direct investment job. What we do is facilitating. So as part of this facilitation, we have already identified 7 areas. So like the Simi Mountain, Afar, Gera Alta, Bale, and Nechsar. So these are some of the areas we have identified, and investors who invested in these specific places won't pay tax for 5 years. So you see, we are trying to identify places, putting tax exemption by working with Investment Commission, and again promoting these kind of places for investment. One is Wenche, for example, which gets highest attention now. So we are trying to play this kind of roles. We are also working hard on mapping the tourism resource sites. At the same time, what we are doing is, recently we have developed a gate facility for Sinkele. It was just started after my arrival. So that means we have started developing. And it shouldn't be a big physical infrastructural development. In Gondar, we were able to bring back the kingship and royal life in the castle itself. So that's, adding up a value and creating a new product on the existing itself. This is also as part of the destination development thinking. It's not only creating new products, it's adding up value on the existing.
The ones who already exist.
So that's the 59 thinking.
Okay. Have you succeeded in upgrading the already existing destinations? Because as you've alluded earlier on, there are many things that are missing there.
Yeah, there are also initiatives at Nechsar, at the Simian Mountains, at Chabara Churchura. There are visitor centers going up. to develop them, as a tourist destination. Visitors has the right to get information and to see a center before the direct visit to specific places.
You are a quasi-independent organization, is that correct?
It is.
But you are managed or given guidance, if you will, by the Ethiopian Tourism Board,
Yeah.
which is chaired by the former
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister. How robust and engaging is that tourism board? Because I know of other tourism boards like the ones in Rwanda, pretty much effective and quite robust, leading institution. Basically sits over tourism in Rwanda. Is it even close to that, what you have here?
Yeah, well, I know the tourism boards overseas as well. I know how strong they are. But, the Ethiopian Tourism Board had, few challenges in the past years with the leadership of the Tourism Ethiopia and the like. Right now, the Ethiopian Tourism Board is in the pipeline, doing reforms in Tourism Ethiopia, and at the same time, launching different initiatives like Stopover Tourism, MICE Tourism, and we are also establishing a tourism fund. The key success factor for tourism board overseas is all about having a flexible finance, and a modest amount of finance that you can make decisions on, do the marketing job, with your limit. But so far, the Ethiopian Tourism Board used to administer the normal annual budget of the institution. There were no tourism fund at all. And that was, I would say, the big challenge for the Ethiopian Tourism Board to push things forward. Otherwise, after my arrival, the Ethiopian Tourism Board is working with me, and His Excellency, the former Prime Minister, is also, following each and every activities that we are doing.
Is that true?
Yeah, in the past 2 months, we have been at least 4 times together. We were at Sinkele together, and we have been also, putting the tourism fund issue to the Ministry of Finance and Economy. So that's how.
So is that you think is happening? You're going you're going to have your own independent source of funding, right?
Yeah.
Which means you're going to collect it from where?
Yeah, this kind of
Fund.
tourism fund is, the source of income would be tourists. Like one tourist, $1, $10.
These are international tourists flying into Ethiopia.
Flying into Ethiopia. So we are going to collect millions of dollars from tourists. Beyond that, we are going to collect levy from the private sector businesses. At the same time, we will try to compete on grants. We are able to collect donations. So we'll have an independent tourism fund account that's going to be very flexible. And with this fund, we are able to be more strong. We can bring competence. We can pull talents. We can go to international markets. Kenya has 17 overseas offices. You go to London, you find the magical Kenya, big office. We are still using our ambassadors and embassies as a marketing and promotion window. We so far had no international overseas office for tourism marketing for the land of origins.
It's interesting. So you intend to establish some offices, at least in the embassies, right?
Yeah, we will open. We identified our markets: core market, potential market, and growing market, and steady markets. So at least we want to open offices abroad at the core markets. And we have also a few offices here at the Mescal Square and at the Bole Airport Information Centers. We want to expand this to the regions also, at least to the top touristic places, World Heritage Site centers. It
just occurred to me that you have raised this issue of taxing tourists at least $10. Is that correct?
Maximum.
So how many international tourists does Ethiopia host every year? I have a problem with the figures that's put out by the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, over 1 million tourists. How many of them do actually leave the Bole International Airport? Most of them are on transit.
This is a big concern of many stakeholders as well. In my thinking, more than 10 million people are crossing the Bole International Airport. I would say 70% of this population are transit travelers. And some 10% of the travelers, 20% of the travelers are residents and local people traveling for business. So some 10%, that's much below than 1 million, are tourists coming with a tourist visa, coming for leisure, for conference, and for visiting friends and relatives. And we also follow the World Tourism Organization principle. So by definition, if my brother come all the way from US, so he's a US citizen, he's a tourist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but isn't that figure so inflated of tourists who actually are tourists, including the ones that you've mentioned? What I'm saying is because you planning, I think the Ministry of Culture is planning to
7.2 million in 10 years from now.
10 years from now.
Yeah, we are part of this plan. And what we are thinking is we have, such flagship upcoming tourism destination projects like Ntoto Unity Park. And we are thinking of, like you mentioned earlier, we'll have more than 50 new touristic places. Ethiopia has never been, a holiday destination. Ethiopia has been, for history lovers, for nature lovers, and for meeting attendants. So with the thinking of creating these holiday products, we can get a mass of tourists. If you go to the Mediterranean, if you go to Kenya, Mombasa, they can pull thousands of tourists at a time. So we don't have that kind of destination so far. And I'm sure the upcoming products will have their own chance of pulling more tourists. And I'm sure with the tourism fund, our institution, Tourism Ethiopia, is going to do a lot in marketing, opening up of new offices abroad and doing a marketing job a lot. Now, with the COVID itself, we have produced more than 25 videos, and we will be able to distribute to embassies and to put them on digital media and the like. So strong commitment is required, but we can achieve 7 million. We are the leading country having the maximum number of World Heritage Sites. We are number one. So we are aspiring to...
We have been number one for many years anyway, so this is not something that you get now.
To be one of the top 5 touristic destinations is a vision, with the 7.2 million tourists. So there is a groundwork and a foundation that's coming up. So in the first 2-3 years, maybe it's challenging to achieve the first 2-3 years plan that is set already. But at the 10th year, I'm sure it can happen.
The Tourism Council, it's no more.
Yeah.
Why?
You mean the Tourism Transformation Council, right?
Transformation Council, yes.
Yeah. So the Transformation Council, this was the thinking was the tourism sector to have the attention of the Prime Minister. And the second thinking was, to get all regional presidents, not tourism bureau heads, regional presidents and city mayors with the Prime Minister to talk about tourism. So I think, with the reform, it's the other way of, doing a better job. The Tourism Ethiopia is now under the supervision of the Prime Minister office. So, it's always in good look and it doesn't create any confusion.
So, what do you intend to achieve during this peak tourism season? Because that's very important for you, I guess. This is a time that you have to flex your muscles. This is a time that you have to show that you really exist. This is a time to show the world and Ethiopia, your bosses included, that you actually exist, that you are making a difference. So what do you want to achieve? And within the realm of during COVID that we are encouraging tourists to come to Ethiopia and visit the country. So what do you intend to achieve at the end of this Ethiopian year?
What I want to achieve is, to really, bring the tourism that we used to know back home. And at the same time, we are working hard with the tour operator companies, showing the whole world that tourism restarted in Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is already open. We had few domestic tourism campaigns. We had it in North Showa, and we did it in Tsinkile with the tourism medias, and soon we will have it in most of the major national parks. That's kind of telling the world that tourism is restarted. It's a safe place to travel and to come and visit. So we are trying our best, and I'm sure we'll have a high chance to achieve at least half a million or a million tourists by the end of this fiscal year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Good luck. And thank you very much indeed, Seleshi. It was really a pleasure having you on my show.
Thank you so much for having me.